No sleep. My neighbor has been mowing his lawn for 12 hours straight. It started at 4:43 am. The noise jolted me awake. It sounded like there was a giant truck revving its engine right there in our bedroom. Exhaust fumes wafted in through the open window. It was a bad way to start the day. "What is that?" moaned my wife. We'd both slept poorly because our daughter had crawled into our bed at 1 am and kept kicking us in the face until we were both half hanging off the bed while she snored away. "Start of the apocalypse," I groaned. "Go back to sleep." "No way can I sleep through that racket," said Vanessa. She rolled out of bed and shut the window. That helped a little, but it still sounded like war out there. She pulled the curtains back and looked through the window. "It's the fucking neighbor mowing his lawn before the sun is up. We need to have a heart-to-heart with him. Let him know that's not okay." Keegan, our daughter, woke up crying. "Guess that's that," I muttered, getting out of bed myself. "I'll go talk to him after some coffee." "Bring me some too," said Vanessa. "Papa, bring me some Smarties," said Keegan. No Smarties for breakfast. Banana or toast, but not Smarties." "Fine," huffed Keegan. "Toast. Cut into shapes." I sighed. This was really the last thing I wanted to be doing at 4:45 on a Saturday morning. Making coffee and cutting toast into animal shapes instead of drooling in my sleep and dreaming of a gentler world. I went into the kitchen and started the coffee and toast and then looked out the living room window. Sure enough, there was Mr. Limsky mowing his damn lawn, in his damn bathrobe no less. That was another thing that I had no desire to do, get into it with him about this, or really talk to him about anything ever beyond a friendly wave and a howdy, neighbor. By the time I was awake enough to form a coherent thought, it was almost 6 o'clock, and I had consumed 4 cups of coffee. Mr. Limsky was still at it, which was strange, because his yard isn't very big at all. It shouldn't take more than a 40-minute mow job. But here it was, an hour and 15 minutes later, and he was still at it. I got semi-dressed and stumbled outside. I walked across my own yard, which, I noted, needed mowing itself. Maybe I'll tell him that, if he mows my lawn and promises to never start so early again, I'll let it go. But I knew that I wouldn't do that. I was a coward. As I got closer, I observed with some confusion that his lawn was already mowed. He was going over it a second time now. I walked up to our property line, denoted by the contrast between mowed and unmowed grass, and started waving my hands in the air, waiting for Mr. Limsky to notice me. He never did. He just stared straight ahead and kept pushing the mower. "Hey!" I shouted, but it was no good. I could barely hear myself, and so I knew that he wouldn't be able to hear me from across the lawn, right behind the lawn mower. God damn it. I walked across his yard until I was right behind him. "Hey." Nothing. I tapped on his shoulder. Nothing. He just kept pushing the lawnmower onward over the already mowed lawn. I didn't know what to do. I'll catch him after he finishes, I guess. He's in the zone. I shrugged and was getting ready to turn back to my house when I saw a trickle of what was presumably urine run down his bare leg. Jesus. I went back to my house and opened the door. Vanessa was reading a book to Keegan. She stopped when I came in and looked up. Well, he couldn't hear me. I'll go over there once he stops. He's got to stop sometime, right? And, well, I'm a little worried about him honestly. I saw him, wet himself. "Mr. Limsky peed his pants?" asked Keegan. She started laughing. "Well, that sometimes happens, kiddo," I said. "You used to do that. We do that a lot when we're kids, and then we don't do it for a while, and then when we get older we sometimes do it again." That gave her something to think about anyway. "Huh," said Vanessa. "There's more," I said. "He's already done with the lawn. He's just going over it a second time. Maybe he missed a few spots?" "Nope. It's perfect. Not a blade of grass higher than any other blade of grass." said Vanessa. "That is strange. Do you think he's okay? Should we call somebody?" I shrugged. "Who are we going to call? The police? Tell them that our retired neighbor is mowing his lawn twice while peeing himself? What will they say to that? Asterisk. By 8 o'clock, I was done cooking the bacon and Mr. Limsky was still at it, mowing his lawn for what must have been the 5th time. I tried not to think about it, but it was hard. After breakfast, we should go somewhere, I said. It's a beautiful day. No sense staying cooped up all day. Why does Mr. Limsky keep mowing his lawn? Asked Keegan. I don't know, kiddo, I muttered. I don't know. You want to go to the playground or something? Yay. I'm going to stay here and try to go back to sleep if that's okay, said Vanessa. Of course, I said. I felt like going back to sleep myself, even after all that coffee, but the desire to get far away from the sound of the lawnmower outweighed my tiredness. We ate, then Keegan and I headed to the playground. At 9 o'clock, I got a text from Vanessa, can't sleep. He's still mowing. 9:30, I'm really starting to get worried. This isn't normal. 10 o'clock, I went over there and tried to talk to him, but it's like he's in a trance. Please come home. I sighed, but complied. I rounded up the kid and drove home. I felt a deep sense of unease that grew more intense the closer I got to home. You're afraid of an old man mowing the lawn? I chided myself. It didn't work, because my instinctive answer was yes. I turned onto my street and prayed that Mr. Limsky would be done mowing the lawn by now. He'd tell us it was just a practical joke and we'd all have a good laugh over it. But soon enough, I saw that wasn't going to happen. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw that he was still out there. I thought I saw a streak of brown running down his leg, but it was hard to tell for sure because he was going around under the shade of his ancient apple tree. I walked inside, and Vanessa was at the kitchen table with bags under her eyes and a glass of wine in front of her. Please make it stop, she said. I don't know how to do that, I said, suddenly feeling very tired and in need of a drink myself. Call the police, she said. Why don't you? I asked. Fine, she said. It's just that I do everything else around here, so I thought maybe you could help this one time. I held my tongue. I did plenty around there, but I knew that now wasn't the time to point that out. Okay, I said. I'll call the police. How has he not run out of gas by now? Anyway, I've been watching him, said Vanessa. He's got a can of gas in his driveway. Sometimes he grabs it when he passes by and gasses up while still pushing the mower. It's crazy. Please call the police. Alright, I said. I looked up the number and proceeded to have one of the most awkward phone conversations of my life. It was 10 minutes with the receptionist and then another 10 minutes with an officer. Finally, they agreed to come over and check it out. Asterisk. 15 minutes later, I watched out the window as the cop car pulled into Mr. Limsky's driveway. A single cop got out and walked over to Mr. Limsky. The cop was waving his hands and shouting, but it was no good. Then the cop grabbed Mr. Limsky's shoulder and spun him around forcefully. This caused Mr. Limsky to finally let go of the throttle, and for the first time all day, the lawnmower stopped moving. It was still running though, because he had taped its safety shutoff down. I held my breath as I waited to see what would happen next. Mr. Limsky opened his mouth, and something emerged from it. It looked like a long thin tentacle. The tentacle wrapped itself around the cop's neck and lifted him up into the air. Then a second tentacle emerged from Mr. Limsky's mouth and made its way down the cop's throat. I slammed the curtains shut and noticed that I too, like Mr. Limsky earlier, had wet myself. What's going on out there? Asked Vanessa from the kitchen. Did the police arrive? I didn't have a good answer, so I didn't say anything. Honey, said Vanessa, walking over. Are you okay? From outside, we heard the whine of a new machine join in with a lawnmower. Vanessa opened the curtain, and I turned slowly to look out. The cop was out there going around the old apple tree with a weed whacker, while Mr. Limsky was back pushing the lawnmower around again. Asterisk. It's 5 p.m. Besides Mr. Limsky, there are now 4 cops in his yard doing various tasks. One is still at it with a weed whacker. Another has been going at the shrubs with a pair of clippers for hours now. But the one who concerns me the most is the one who is going around spraying the ground from a bottle full of neon blue liquid that Mr. Limsky at one point puked out of his mouth. I personally am petitioning the family to pack up the car and start driving to Florida, where Vanessa's mother lives. I have no idea what is going on, but it doesn't look good.